Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So this video is a Q&A video. So I want to start by thanking you all so much for submitting so many great questions. I've tried my best to narrow it down to, well, a few from a couple of hundred. So there were some really good ones. Thank you so much for submitting them. I know it's taken me a couple or a few months to actually get around to filming this video. I wanted to film a Q&A video mainly because obviously the majority of the other videos on my channel are purely me playing guitar, which is what the channel's about, obviously. It's about guitar music, but I thought as we're kind of nearing 200,000 subscribers, which feels just incredibly weird to say, I thought it was probably a good chance for you to kind of get to know me a little bit better if you're kind of a regular viewer on my channel or you just recently subscribed. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of break down that barrier and just have a little bit of a chat. So yeah, I hope you enjoy and I hope that you're not sick of my voice by the end of this video. I haven't prepared answers for any of these, so it might take a little bit of thinking, but we'll see. First question is, where are you from? I'm from Manchester. Which most people, I guess, know Manchester United, I guess. But yeah, I'm from Manchester in the northwest of England. How old are you and when did you start with music? I'm 23. Why is that such a difficult question to answer? I swear once you get past like 19, you just stop counting. Is that normal? I started playing guitar when I was probably about 6 or 7, but I had lessons like throughout school from the age of 8 maybe, and then went to a specialist music school from the age of 11. So yeah. Do you play any other musical instruments? Not right now. I used to just kind of want to play everything like every kid does. So I used to have drum lessons. I used to have a drum kit. I used to play the drums all the time. Yeah, I used to play the violin. I used to like sing and write my own songs. They're interesting to listen back to. Yeah, the violin did not go very well. No, it was not a violinist, I have to say. What else did I play? I played the piano. I played electric guitar. Yeah. So what do first classical guitar lessons look like? What do teachers take as essentials? So I guess from this, it's kind of, okay, if I don't think about the question too much, if I just kind of answer it as how I read it, the main thing I would say, as a teacher, as somebody who teaches other people, I'd say the main thing that I'd be looking for is just, it sounds really corny, but just enthusiasm and just like actually wanting to be there and wanting to take on board what somebody's saying. There are certain aspects of technique when it comes to classical guitar that at first might not make much sense to somebody who doesn't play classical, but really do make sense further down the line with the more complex pieces you start to play and things. So my main sort of, you know, thing for teaching somebody, I think really, or if I was to go back and to learn from scratch again, would be just to be more open-minded, I think, and just be really willing to take on board and actually practice what I'm being told, as opposed to sort of thinking, oh yeah, but you know, my wrist, having a technique like this and my wrist's fine, you know, which is definitely what I did. What is a hobby that you have spare time for outside of playing the guitar? It would usually be sports or like gym, but at the moment all the gyms are closed and we can't play sport, so I used to play rugby, football. I did athletics and hurdles hurdles and high jump and all these things, skiing, snowboarding. I used to be like proper active. Yeah, I'd say keeping fit, really. I know that's kind of like a generic one, but I'm finding that really difficult at the moment. Like having the motivation to exercise at home is just, I don't know, I can't do it. What's the most challenging piece you've ever learned and why? This is probably one I should have thought about before actually, but I can think of a couple off the top of my head. So recently I've been learning Introduction and Caprice by Rigondi, which is mind-blowingly difficult. But yeah, that's just, I think, to be honest, like in a lot of pieces, you get to a bit where, you know, you're practicing and you're playing it through, and you'll turn the page and it's kind of like, oh, you know, this is the bit I can relax a little bit on. And in that piece, it's just, you turn the page and it's like, oh, okay, right, yeah, it's this hard bit. And you turn the page again, okay, it's the next hard bit. There's just no relaxation in it whatsoever for the guitarist. It's just like, ah. Even though it's probably one of the most difficult I've ever tried to play, it's definitely up there with one of my favourite pieces to listen to. It's just the most beautiful thing. If you haven't heard it, yeah, you should go and listen to Rigondi's Introduction and Caprice. It's wonderful. I think the other piece that probably is up there in the hardest I've ever played is the Malcolm Arnold Concerto, which is, yeah, difficult. Also an amazing piece, like one of my favourite concertos. So if you haven't heard that, then yeah, check out Malcolm Arnold's Concerto. It's unbelievable. What are your memorization strategies? Okay, yeah, that's a good one. If I ever get this question from a student in a lesson, my go-to answer really is just to not practice to memorize the piece. So if you're practicing a piece and still learning it and also trying to memorize it, that's just a recipe for disaster, I think. I was very, very, very guilty of that when I was younger and learning pieces. And it's one of those things that you do learn from, because now I know that if I know a piece well enough and really feel comfortable with it, it's going to be memorized. Yeah, if you're practicing to memorize something instead of reading it through and understanding what's happening in the music, it's not necessarily going to go very well. So I would say learn the piece as well as you can in every single aspect. When you feel comfortable enough with it, it probably will be by memory. How do you keep motivated to play during the pandemic? I know you've done a small concert a few weeks ago, but have you got any advice for those who can't really share the music that way to remain motivated and consistent with practice? Yeah, that is a real big problem at the moment. I think a lot of people are just really finding it difficult to get motivated. And I've definitely found that as well. It's been sometimes just really difficult to kind of find a reason why we should pick up a guitar and do a couple of hours practice. It's you know, obviously with no concerts happening at the moment and things like that, it's sad. And when we feel sad, we don't want to do things that are productive a lot of the time. So, you know, it kind of feels, at the moment, maybe, you know, there is a little bit more light at the end of the tunnel. Obviously, there's a line between being like completely counterproductive and absolutely, you know, like absolutely getting stuff done. But I think just take time. I certainly have been recently. Just take time to kind of let yourself grovel in just doing nothing, because sometimes that's what you feel is best and what you need to do. And as much as it might feel like you feel really guilty for it afterwards, at the moment I don't see the point in that guilt. You know, everybody is in a difficult position at the moment, and everyone just kind of has to do what they need to do to get through it, really. I think for me, when I do some practice, I feel so much better for it, and then that makes me want to do more the next day, and then some the next day. But I think it's difficult maybe when you take 2 or 3 days off to make yourself, you know, really want to do it. But I know I've done that often enough to know that you do feel better once you do it. So it's just that persuasion sort of in yourself to kind of be like, yeah, go on, you'll feel better. How do you play with feelings? Does that come after you master the technique? That's a difficult one. I've always felt this kind of, it sounds really weird, but I've always felt this kind of like relationship with the guitar. I think that's kind of why I know it's the right instrument for me in that sense, because I've always found it is it's the easiest way for me to kind of communicate what I want to say through music. And that also entails all of the musical things that come with it. But I think in terms of, you know, whether you get the technique before thinking about musicality, I think that maybe that's different for everybody. I wouldn't like to say, yes, you must get the technique and then start thinking musically. You know, I think I, to a certain extent, had it the other way around, because I would know what I wanted to do with the music and things like that, but wouldn't actually be able to execute it because I didn't have the technique. So I think obviously they both go hand in hand and help each other. But finding which way around that should be for you is probably quite a personal thing, I think. What would you say to anybody who feels unmotivated studying guitar? I feel you. Studying anything you love can take the fun out of it sometimes. And I think it's important we do things to lessen that effect. My advice really would just kind of be to try to get through it, and just work as hard as you can. You know, sometimes you will feel unmotivated, but when you work hard and you get the rewards from working hard, they're the things that start to motivate you, you know. Because good things will come if you do work hard. That's, you know, you're going to do well in your degree, or you're going to get more concerts, or, you know, there's obviously there's more now to being a musician than solely practicing, but you know, I think when you're studying, it's a few years to be able to go into the wide world and just kind of do your own thing and do what you want to do and make the most of it. And I think that few years of getting all the advice and amazing sort of education as possible from as many different people is a really, really good thing to do. So don't try not to be unmotivated. It's going to happen at some point, but I think the best thing you can do is just get your head down, work as hard as you possibly can, and you'll, you know, be in an even better position after you graduate. How tall are you? I'm 5'7". I don't know whether that's short or that's tall or that's average. I have no idea, but hey ho, you know now anyway. If you could change one thing about the music world, what would it be? Yeah, big question. Okay, I'm gonna try to answer this as concisely and sort of small scale as possible, but just off the top of my head, I'd probably just say I'd want everybody who goes to a concert to just solely be there to enjoy the concert. That's all I'd ask. I can't be doing with people who literally go for the wrong reasons, you know, like music's not about that. I would only go to a concert and spend my money and time somewhere that I wanted to be, and someone that I wanted to listen to and had respect for. What motivates you to keep going in music even when it's hard? I think just the momentum that you build over time. I think the best feeling that I've had in relation to that a lot of the time, apart from sort of outside inspiration, you know, I get a lot of that from listening to other people and watching other people and just sort of, you know, being inspired. But I think the thing that has such a huge effect is when you hear something of yourself or see something of yourself that you never thought was possible, or you have a sudden realization that's like, oh wow, I'm here, or that I did that, you know, whereas a year before that you might be thinking, I'd never do that. So I think surprising yourself with what you're capable of doing is a big thing in that. And obviously also like outside inspiration is key. I think you need to inspire yourself to a certain extent if possible, but yeah, obviously take it from others as well. Tips for boosting one's presence on YouTube. I'm probably like the worst person to ask about this. But yeah, tips for boosting your presence. I don't know, I'm probably not a very good person to ask, but I would just say the main thing really is play music that you like and that you believe in and that you think you play well. Because if you're playing music because somebody else is telling you to play it and you're not very connected with it or you don't like it, it's obvious. It's always obvious. So I definitely only play music on my channel and put out music that I really like to listen to, really, really like to play. I have to enjoy playing it, and it has to have inspired me at some point. Yeah, I think that would be the main thing. You know, people really do pick up on when you don't enjoy playing something. If you could learn any other instrument, what would it be? I've thought quite a lot about this, you know, and I've also actually talked to quite a few other guitarists who say the exact same thing, which is really weird. I don't know whether it's a guitar thing or whether it's just, I don't know. But I've always really liked the cello. I don't know whether it's, Villa-Lobos music is quite, like certain bits of that are a bit like cello-like, so maybe that's why, I don't know. Which guitar do you use? I use a Christopher Dean guitar. I'll try and put the link for his website actually in the description so you can have a look. Ponce or Tedesco? Oh no, that's not a nice question. Tedesco. What pieces are you currently working on? Okay, some Scarlatti sonatas, the Walton bagatelles, the Rigondi that I keep mentioning, Coste le départ, some Gerhardt, and some other stuff. Okay, I think that is all of the questions from the ones that I picked from the loads that you submitted. So thank you so much again for submitting all of those. There were some really, really good questions. Do let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this video and if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing. And yeah, I hope you stay well and hope to see you soon.